Hey guys, I thought I'd do a video on my Avicularia species. This is just going to be a bit of a I suppose a care sheet kind of video. This is just basically how I keep them, not necessarily a precise care sheet. Not just how I'm going to keep them, but this is just a run through of what I've got. Obviously I can't do my versicolor because he's out breeding to a bloke called Nigel Mills. He arrived safe and sound. I got an email back the day after I sent him saying that he was packed very well and no problems whatsoever, so he's now being kept with the female. As of yet there's no interest being shown, but I've had some successful breedings with gems, so fingers crossed we'll get something positive. Okay, so let's get started. I shall start with my Avicularia diversities. This was formerly known as Avicularia fasciculata. Now this one, I'm sure you all know if you've seen my previous videos, I had a few problems with just after it molted just over Christmas. Let me just see if I can get a bit better light, just so it's not all glared. Well, that'll do. Yeah, so basically, stunning looking tarantula. You can just about make out on the actual video the sort of the red sort of toes with the lovely blue colours, and you can't really see on this, but it's got a very iridescent purple carapace, so it's a gorgeous tarantula. I've found it to be fairly flighty, fairly unpredictable, especially when feeding. Since molting, it's been very troublesome. It's not been particularly happy. I think it's eaten once. I put one large locust in, which now isn't there. I put a second one in, which it didn't take and died, so I removed that today. Having spoken to Elaine on RFUK, she said they can get a bit dehydrated after molting, so that would explain why I had the problems after molting. So I've been keeping the humidity up a little bit more. As you can see, I've got sphagnum moss in here, I've got the large water bowl. I sprayed it earlier today. Other than the fact that it's been a bit of a pain in the ass with feeding, I've got no complaints. Stunning tarantula. I love the personality. I love the fact it's a little bit skittish. I find that quite interesting about it. It's a lot more aggressive than any other Avicularia I've ever had. I would not recommend handling this. I wouldn't recommend trying because it'll only do a runner on you, and this thing is quick, especially for Avicularias I found. But it's certainly one of the most stunning Avicularias that I've personally seen. But it's quality. I love it. So I think I shall carry on trying to feed this roaches once a week and just see how I get on with it. I think I'll probably continue to keep it a little bit more humid than I have been to try and avoid any dehydration problems, but otherwise, you know, no complaints with this one whatsoever. Absolutely love it. It's done a bit of webbing all over the show. You can see some there. There's some sort of down there as well. It's done a lot at the back there, heavily webbed. It did that just after I got it. So yeah, this is a wicked tarantula, really awesome. Okay, so next I'm going to go on to my Avicularia laeta. Okay folks, this is my Avicularia laeta tub. As you can see, it is just completely webbed up all over the place. One of my favourite characteristics about this particular tarantula. Webbed up way more than any of my other Avics, and that's one of my favourite, like I said, characteristics about it. This one is pretty skittish. It's quite nervous, which doesn't bother me. I don't make a habit of handling my tarantulas anyway, so that doesn't affect me whatsoever. It's quite quick. It's a good feeder. Just after I first got it, it was a bit troublesome feeding back last year, but ever since then I've not had a problem. Now it feeds very happily on roaches. Currently it's in pre-molt. Let me just see if I can get the tub. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. You can just see its legs there, just there. It's I would say it's probably about 2.5 inches. I'm not entirely sure how big they get. The bloke who I bought this particular tarantula off had 3, one of which is now dead because it was a male which matured out and he didn't realise. So that leads me to believe that this is a female, as he got them all at the same time, so they're all similar age. So I'm happy about that. This is one I would love to have a go at breeding. I don't know what they like to breed, but it'd be interesting to find out. I tend to keep this one drier than most Avicularias. That's what I've heard to do. I don't know if that's necessarily correct, but I've not had any problems. I've not had any molting problems or you know, avicularia sudden death syndrome, which a lot of people struggle with. Not necessarily at this age, but when they're younger. Unfortunately, because it's down here, you can't see the colours. But if you've seen on previous videos or any of my photos on the forum, this thing is, I think personally, stunning. It's quite a brown colour with pink toes, and it's got pink hairs on the abdomen. It's a really attractive tarantula. I can't remember if I already said, but I think it's in pre-molt, so it should be interesting to see how big we get. And I'll try and sex it from the shed skin. I'll do a video on that when that happens. And so yeah, we'll see how that goes. But this one is really good. I haven't actually got a water bowl in here yet because it's so heavily webbed I haven't been able to get one in. So as you can see, there's sort of that hammock on the top. I tend to spray it quite lightly about once a week. Water sort of is held on there, so I sort of figure it can drink from there if it needs to. I think depending on how big it gets when it molts, I'll have to upgrade it from this tub. As you can see, it's sort of a fairly small cereal tub, but it's done the job perfectly while I've had it, and I would highly recommend using these sort of tubs, especially as a cheap way to house your tarantulas. I have no complaints whatsoever. They're excellent, and I think the the opaque plastic must be beneficial to the tarantula because it doesn't allow as much light in, which I would imagine the tarantulas prefer. Obviously, when I'm shining a light like that, it's not very pleasant for them, so I don't make too much of a habit. But yeah, this one I would definitely recommend for anyone that likes their Avicularia species. This definitely recommend this one. Really attractive species. Quite shy, but you know, I think you've got to expect that when you buy tarantulas, that they're not always going to be out on view. But yeah, definitely recommend this one. Okay, so next we'll go on to my Amazonica sling.